It is a great pleasure, joy, and honor to speak about the grace of the Guru. And I'm going to do so from my own personal experience with my Guru, Her Holiness Sai Maa. When I first met Sai Maa, it was over 10 years ago, I was becoming at a point of becoming oriented with her existing organization in order to advise on how it might be shifted, improved, whatever. And as part of that orientation, Sai Maa invited me to the Kumbh Mela in India. And part of that was we went to an Ayurvedic clinic in Hyderabad where Sai Maa went. She was there with Swamiji to prepare the body for the intense energetic work of the Kumbh Mela. And Sai Maa asked me to join Swamiji and Ma there. And this was new for me. I'd been to India before, but I was not familiar with Ayurveda. I was disoriented as part of that. At that point, I went to the clinic in Hyderabad, participated in the treatments, and there was no common frame of reference that I could hold on to, which proved to be a great blessing, because at one of those days, Sai Maa invited Swamiji and I into her room at this clinic. Ma had been journaling in silence all day. Swamiji and I were sitting at Ma's feet, and Ma asked me if I would like to read what Ma had written. And of course, I said yes. Ma had been writing about Lord Krishna. So Ma gently handed me the book. But as I began reading, my breathing slowed down and I started to move into an altered state of consciousness. And Ma removed the book from my hand, and then she raised her hands so that they were facing me. And I moved into brilliant white light. I have no idea how long I was in that state, but I have certainly not been aware of having experienced that, certainly not in this lifetime, up until then. And in that state, everything became clear to me. Why I chose to take birth in this lifetime, what my dharma, my purpose was. And in reflection, I realized that I was not living my dharma. But I had no way of knowing, well, what am I supposed to do about this? Because that experience was so profound that I didn't want to just forget about it and let it just be another experience. I realized that this was a huge intervention. And so I sat down with Ma afterwards, the next day, and I explained what happened. And of course, Ma already knew what happened. And Ma was basically saying to me, and did say to me, this is the opportunity for you to step fully into your dharma. But if you want to work with me, you have to do so from higher frequency energy, and specifically from fifth dimensional consciousness. Now, honestly, I didn't know what any of that meant, but I had an intuitive sense that I knew what Ma was saying was absolutely true. And I was there simply to receive. And so Ma said, then, would you like to go to the fifth dimension? And so we sat down on the floor, Ma took my hand, and a veil was lifted, And I moved into this state of being in our light bodies, still separate. Ma was in a separate body, I was in a separate body, but we were in our light bodies. Totally, totally different than an experience in the physical body. Bodies were filled with light. Light was everywhere. At the same time, we started to play. You have a thought, that thought manifests instantly. And everything is just pure love, pure light, pure joy. So Ma didn't just say you have to do this, operate from fifth dimensional consciousness. Ma showed me pragmatically what that is, experientially. That is the grace of the Guru. Yes, a Guru is someone who takes you from darkness to light. Guru means darkness, Guru means light. And I kind of understood that from an intellectual perspective. But a real Guru actually makes that happen for the disciple. And that was my orientation to Ma. And it completely transformed my life. Because I knew that now I was on the true path. And I would never, ever have gotten there by reading, studying. I could have understood all of this intellectually, but I would not have experienced it. And that's the difference. That's what, for me, the grace of the Guru is. It's a divine blessing that brings us into awakening. I had done a lot of what I called organizational transformation up to that point in my life. But after this experience with Sai Maa, I realized that it wasn't really transformation. It was more like change. One might even say self-improvement. Yes, it made a difference, but it was still the ego-based self being improved, whereas transformation, as Ma revealed it to me, is about self-transcendence. It's about transcending the limited ego-based self and operating from a totally higher frequency, where it's possible for everything to just manifest if you get the ego out of the way. And so this was what happened over the next several years with Sai Maa, this shedding of ego. And it was shortly after that experience in the fifth dimension that Ma gave me the name Muktananda, which means the bliss of enlightenment. Now, of course, my ego resisted. My ego wasn't ready to let go of being in control. But I didn't have to be concerned about it because now I knew Ma was there to support. And that's the other thing about the grace of the Guru. The Guru always supports the disciple. Always there for the disciple. The Guru only has one purpose, and that is to bring about the disciple's enlightenment. And so then you're in perfect hands. That love, that unconditional love, that grace permeates everything. And you can merge into that vortex. And gradually, didn't happen overnight. The experience happened instantly, but the shedding of more and more of ego-based self took place. In my case, it's still going on. I don't want to pretend that there isn't any of that there, but it's just less and less and less and less. And that is the grace of being in the presence of a guru. Because as our higher self emerges, then I could see that transformation is about reconstituting the principles of coherence that constitute the self. So as the self enlightens, it merges into higher frequency, then everything else around it shifts. You can't be in the same place. You can't hang out with the same people. You can't be doing the same things as you did before, because then they just keep you stuck at a certain level. So once that process gets awakened and you're moving in it, then your experience of the Guru's grace becomes everything. That's all there is. And your life becomes so much richer. And you know you are meant to be doing what you're meant to be doing. And when you know you're doing what you're meant to be doing, you can face any challenge, any difficulty, any obstacle. Doesn't matter, because you know you are on the right path. That is the great blessing of the Guru, the grace of the Guru. You're in this energetic vortex and everything unfolds beautifully. I think one of the great experiences in my life of having Sai Maa manifest her love and her commitment to me. And remember, this is not about me. I'm telling you my personal story, but this applies to every single one of us. I am not special in that respect. Guru's grace is there for everyone who wants it, who's prepared to receive it. And the love is unconditional. But in my service to Ma, this goes back 3.5 years ago, I was in Denver at the time for one meeting. I can't even remember what the meeting was about, but and I was leaving from Denver. I was at the airport to head back home to Florida. And according to medical experts, I had a heart attack and died. They could not revive me. I was rushed to the closest hospital. Sai Maa was informed immediately. And Lucinda and Doug came to the hospital. They were there. A lot of this I only know because Lucinda told it to me. I wasn't aware of any of this. And the doctors apparently had told Lucinda that they did not think there was any chance I would survive. But Ma instantly connected with my soul. And Ma flew to Denver, came to the hospital, and told me, and I was but just before that, the doctors had told Lucinda I wasn't very, very unlikely that I was going to make it. But the next day, I woke up completely, fully present, and Sai Maa was right there at the bedside. And Ma said, I checked in with your soul, and your soul was not ready to leave because my dharma was not complete. The Guru will never intervene in a disciple's free will. And I wasn't afraid of dying, but my dharma, there was more for me to fulfill. And Ma explained all this to me. The doctors came in shortly thereafter, and they see me fully awake, fully present, and they cannot believe it. This did not make any sense. I should have been dead. But I wasn't. I was fully present in the light and in physicality. That was the power and the grace of my guru. When I got back to Florida, I went to see a cardiologist, and they did every single test that can be done, and they could find no evidence of a heart attack. None. Try to explain that. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense because the guru intervened. And that's not something most people know is even possible. But for those of us who are graced and blessed to be with an enlightened master, everything is there for us. And our life becomes what it was meant to be. We recapture our birthright. We remember why we are here. But I can say for me, none of that would have been possible without the grace of my guru. And I love her and I honor her. And I am so blessed and grateful to have Sai Maa in my life. Om Jai Jai Sai Maa.